The sun is shining and the birds are singing, so what better day to visit this hidden gem? Welcome to the ruins of Beauly Priory in the village of Beauly in Inverness, Scotland. This incredible little church and graveyard is often overlooked by visitors to Inverness and the surrounding areas, but it's a must visit, as is the beautiful village of Beauly. The priory was believed to have been founded around 1230 AD by an order of monks known as the Valesculians from a place called Val de Chaux in France. Local legend suggests that the village of Beauly got its name thanks to Mary Queen of Scots. While passing through this area in 1564, she apparently commented in French that the area was Beauly, meaning a beautiful place, and the name stuck. Unfortunately, like so many of Scotland's churches, abbeys and cathedrals, the priory at Beauly was destroyed during the Reformation in 1559 as Scotland changed from a Catholic country to a Protestant one. And over the following centuries, the building slowly began to fall into disrepair, with locals stealing the stone to build their houses in the nearby village. The priory was once a complex of buildings, including a dormitory, chapter house, canteen and workshops for the monks, all long since disappeared, and the only part of the church still roofed is the north transept. This was rebuilt in 1901 to serve as a mausoleum for the McKenzie clan. The priory is orientated west to east, and this is the eastern end of the church. It would have contained a huge stained glass window, unfortunately destroyed during the Reformation. At its peak, the priory was home to around 20 monks, and they were brought to this area by a local nobleman named John Bissett. This exact location was chosen because of the surrounding rich agricultural land and also the proximity to the river, which was rich with wild salmon. As well as farming the local land, on this side of the priory there was a cloister, an enclosed garden, which would have produced fruits and vegetables, but more importantly, a physics garden or a physic garden, which grew over 300 species of herbs and plants that were used for medicinal purposes. Of the 20 or so monks that lived here, only the prior of the chapel was allowed to go out into the local community, with the other monks having to live here completely isolated from the outside world. After the Reformation in 1559, there was a major dispute between two local families as to who should control the lands of the priory, Clan McKenzie and also the Frasers of Lovett. Roughly 300 clansmen from each side took up arms and almost came to blows over who would control the land. But outnumbered by the Frasers, the Mackenzies entered negotiations, and the result was that Lord Lovett should marry Catherine, the eldest daughter of Colin McKenzie, which they both did at the age of 17, averting the battle and the marriage securing peace between the two clans. This is us back in the interior, looking towards the great western door, which I originally walked through. Even though the building is roofless and ruined, you can imagine how spectacular the chapel would have looked in its prime, and it shows just how grand and how wealthy this church would have been. There are many graves dedicated to both Clan McKenzie and also to Clan Fraser of Lovett, and many of these graves date back to the 15th and 16th century. This one carries a celebrity name some of you might recognise, a man called James Fraser. I'm not sure it's the original Jamie Fraser from Outlander, but you never know. When the church was still in working order, there were many important people buried here over the centuries, including Sir Kenneth McKenzie of Kintail, an important clan chief who was killed in 1491. There's also a grave of Hugh Fraser, Lord Lovett, who is buried here after being killed at the Battle of Swampy Meadow against my ancestors, Clan MacDonald. Until fairly recently, the entrance into the churchyard was flanked by two ancient trees. But unfortunately, in January 2023, the oldest surviving wych elm in Europe, believed to be over 800-year-old, succumbed finally to Dutch elm disease, toppling in a storm, leaving this beautiful sycamore as the last ancient standing tree in the churchyard, with some suggesting it could also be as old as 800 years. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this tour around the beautiful ruins of Beauly Priory. And if you're in the Inverness area, then take the 30-minute drive and come and visit this hidden gem. So thanks for watching, and if you like what you see, please hit the subscribe button.